I don't think yet, sir.
What was the teacher? It wasn't romper room. Was it romper room?
Miss
The
Sally
lady who had the mirror. I see Julian and Izzy.
No,
I
Oh,
just
guess-
heard his voice down the hallway.
Are we ready to go?
He wasn't aware that we were all virtual today.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll get started here. Prior to today's work session, we are convening this public hearing of the Baltimore County Council, which will now come to order. We are holding this public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Baltimore County Code on the following issue: Final Landmarks List Addition, and that addition is Perry Hall School at 9317 Bel Air Road in Nottingham, Maryland. I believe that's 21236. I will now read the rules of procedure for this public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak should have registered online using the speaker registration form on the council's virtual sessions and hearings webpage. Prior to the hearing, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes as per usual. Council members, if they desire, may ask questions. Caitlin Merritt from the Department of Planning will speak briefly on this request for Final Landmarks Addition. Caitlin, looks like the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thanks for allowing me to present some background about the Perry Hall School, located at 9317 Bel Air Road in County Council District 5. The Perry Hall School was constructed in 1925 and served as the community's third school. When the school was constructed, it was constructed with all of the modern conveniences of the time and followed state and national trends of educational development, school planning, and school design, which was popular in the early 20th century. The school was designed by the local architecture firm of Smith and May in a very simplistic colonial revival style. The firm of Smith and May were the County Board of Education's most prolific architectural firm, responsible for numerous Baltimore County schools in the second quarter of the 20th century. Colonial revival styles were very typical of many institutional buildings constructed in the late 1920s throughout the United States. So the Perry Hall School is a one-story stretcher bond pattern masonry building with a central gabled pavilion entrance. It has a symmetrical T-shaped floor plan. The building is accented with a soldier bond cornice, string course, and a rowlock belt course and water table. The front facade is the most ornamented with a soldier course arch that accentuates the central front entry. On November 14th, 2024, the Baltimore County Landmarks Preservation Commission voted to add the Perry Hall School and its setting to the preliminary landmarks list. The Landmarks Preservation Commission determined that the Perry Hall School met the criteria for designation, which is outlined in our code. The Perry Hall School and setting is significant as an example of a school that followed the national trends of educational development and school planning and school design patterns from the early 20th century, and as an example of early 20th century institutional building with colonial revival details that was designed by the prominent local architecture firm of Smith and May. The nomination was submitted on behalf of the owners and with their knowledge and consent. And at the Landmarks Preservation Commission hearing, there was no public testimony heard. Thank you for your time, and if you have any other questions, please let me know.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin. Councilman Marks, did you want to say anything about this property?
Of course. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Merritt, for that very good description of this property. Our office has been very much involved with this landmark recommendation. As Ms. Merritt mentioned, the school is a century old. It is one of the last remaining structures in Perry Hall from that time period. It was a public school for many years, and it closed down when Perry Elementary School opened in 1956. And it was used in the 1970s as an annex when there was overcrowding at Perry Hall schools at the time. This is a great win-win story. I know of no one opposing this landmark status. In fact, when Catholic Charities sold the property to the Kraus family, they worked very closely with the Preservation Alliance of Baltimore County to submit the nomination papers. So the property owner supports the status. The Perry Hall Improvement Association, you'll hear from President Pat Keller in a few minutes. They support this. The Preservation Alliance of Baltimore County supports this. This would be a fitting way to help celebrate Perry Hall's 250th anniversary this year. And I strongly recommend that we endorse landmark status for this property.
Okay, great. Thank you, Councilman Marks. Councilman Patoka, I think you had a question, correct?
David Marks is recognized for being in the Hall of Fame.
I'm in the High School Hall of Fame.
Not at this building.
Not at this building. Not this
That's
building.
another building down the street.
Okay, I just want to make sure that Councilman Marks' Hall of Fame award is preserved into the future.
That would always be good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other questions before we move to speakers? Ms. Belcastro, are there any public speakers for today's hearing?
Yes, we have a couple speakers, Mr. Chair. Our first speaker is Anne Grichon. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes, hi, Ann. How are you? Ann's from the Preservation Alliance.
You may begin your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My name is Ann Gritchen. I'm the Director of Preservation Alliance of Baltimore County. We're our county's nonprofit historic preservation organization. We work to preserve and restore and protect historic buildings, landscapes, cemeteries, and view sheds. And we wholeheartedly support the nomination. In fact, one of our interns from Towson University was very instrumental in the nomination. He wrote a good portion of it, so wanted to also give a little shout out to his good work. Again, it's a building that's very significant in the area and an important example of the international style. I won't go into that detail, that was already spoken of, and also of a very good building that's going to be reused for commercial purposes. So we'll come back into the community for a very important and resourceful purpose. And then lastly, too, I think it's extra significant because we are starting to lose more and more of our historic buildings. We just lost two very significant ones, including one not that far from the school on Joppa Road. So it's really crucial that we preserve our historic resources and buildings for the future. So this is a prime example of how historic buildings can function again, be part of the economy, and hold the memories of our community as well. So again, we, Preservation Alliance of Baltimore County, wholeheartedly supports the nomination. And the nomination actually, and the approval, I should say, by the council. And again, very, very much thank Councilman Marks and the whole council for your support on this project.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
Our next
Speaker, Ms. Belcastro, unless there's questions for.
Our next speaker is Mr. Pat Keller. Mr. Keller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Keller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council. My name is Pat Keller. I'm president of the Perry Hall Improvement Association, and just wanted to let the County Council know that we are in the organization and the community is in full support of landmarking this particular structure. A special shout out to Ms. Merritt for her report, was outstanding. Something that the council probably doesn't know, but certainly Councilman Marks knows, is that the setting is very critical in this particular case, because this stretch of Blair Road is not a strip commercial corridor. It has more of a residential feel to it, and the buildings are closer to the street. So I just like to point that out in addition to the historic structure itself and the architecture and the firm that designed it. It's also in a very historic location along Bel Air Road. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keller. Any questions for Mr. Keller? Councilman Marks?
No, I just want to thank Mr. Keller for all the terrific work he does. I also want to thank Ann Gritchen. I also want to mention Daniel Dean, who is the 5th District Representative of the Landmarks, also wrote a letter of support. Again, as I said, this is a win-win, and I would like to try to move for this to be on our legislative agenda as quickly as possible. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilman Marks. Ms. Belcastro and, Councilman Patoka, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank Pat Keller for acknowledging Caitlin Merritt's work. Good job, Caitlin. I wish I would have said it earlier. To hear you speak of the building and some of the features of the building, it made it sound like I was at my dinner table talking to my wife, because she often speaks in that same architectural, historical language. So job well done, Ms. Merritt.
Thank you.
Ms. Belcastro, do we have any other speakers? Thank you, Councilman Patoka.
Thank you.
No, Mr. Chair, there are no other speakers registered for the public hearing.
Okay. All right. So there are no other questions. Since there are no other questions or comments that I see, this hearing is now adjourned. That was easy. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Mr. Chair, it's all one WebEx for the work session and the public hearing today.
Yeah, so we're going right to the work session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I guess I'll call the work session to order. Mr. Boswick,
Yes, sir.
what's first up?
First, we have on page 22, Bill. I can't even read this printout.
Bill 3325.
That's it. Bill 3325. My eyes are really going.
Rebecca Young is representing.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Am I good to start?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you, Chairman Ortel and esteemed members of the County Council. I'm Rebecca Young, Deputy Administrative Officer for Public Safety, and I'm here on behalf of the administration to speak on Bill 3325, which among other things changes the retirement eligibility for 911 operators. Currently in Baltimore County, 911 operators hired after 2007 are required to provide 35 years of service to obtain a full retirement, which is aligned with general county employees, but is not aligned with any other public safety classification. In 2022, the state legislature added 911 specialists to the definition of first responder in the public safety article. This legislation officially changed the status of 911 operators, recognizing the crucial role that 911 operators serve in public safety responses. In June 2024, this body passed Resolution 3424, endorsing the reclassification of 911 operators as first responders. Specifically, the resolution states the classification of 911 operators as administrative or clerical workers misrepresents the life-saving work 911 operators do. The resolution further states that 911 operators are part of a professional team of first responders relying on highly specialized protocols, training, and equipment to provide life-saving triage to citizens and critical information to field responders, and that the reclassification of 911 professionals could give operators greater equity in terms of benefits. This body stated in the resolution that the County Council wholeheartedly agrees that the pivotal role of 911 operators play in our emergency response system necessitates changing their classification to be on par with other first responders and public safety professionals. However, despite the change in designation, Baltimore County 911 operators are still treated as general county employees for retirement purposes, requiring 35 years of service for a full pension. As this body knows, 911 operators are the initial point of contact for many emergencies. While the work can be highly rewarding, the work is also very stressful and can lead to trauma. 911 operators are in the unique position of listening to the trauma other people are facing without the ability to see the scene or witness the conclusion of the traumatic event. In their everyday work, 911 operators listen to callers who are oftentimes frantic, people who are experiencing the worst day of their lives. In their role, 911 operators lack the ability to physically intervene, but are responsible for providing calm responses, life-saving instructions, and information to other first responders during chaotic incidents in an effort to assist during emergencies. The unique dynamics of this role takes a toll on 911 operators. In light of their responsibilities and the impact on employees, it is not reasonable to expect 911 operators to work for 35 years to obtain a full pension. Baltimore County is currently an outlier for the service years required for full retirement. Several surrounding jurisdictions require only 25 years and others require 30. The list of 30 years are Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, Dorchester, Talbot, St. Mary's, Somerset, Kent, and Carroll. And for 25 years, it's Howard County, Montgomery County, Wacomico, Charles, Caroline, Cecil, and Frederick. While it is necessary to make the proposed change to the retirement eligibility of 911 operators, the administration is also very aware of the funding levels of our pension system and the impact of any adjustment made to the required years of service. The administration's stance has been that all changes to the pension system must be cost neutral. With this proposed change, the employee contribution rate will be increased to ensure that there is no cost to the county or the pension system, and the required years of service would be reduced from 35 years to 30 years to obtain a full pension. The proposed change was ratified by 911 employees represented by FPE. In conclusion, as this body clearly articulated in Resolution 3424, it's appropriate and necessary to treat and consider 911 operators as first responders. The proposed legislation is crucial in that effort. And at this time, I can hand it over to Director Reed to provide more specific details on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is it all right if I hop in?
I'm sorry.
No problem.
I was muted. Sorry.
Yeah, just
Yes, go ahead.
if I can, just to get into the a little bit more details. Again, as Ms. Young stated, that this change is part of our labor negotiations for FY26 and going forward. But again, the administration stance moving forward and has been for the last few years that any changes to the retirement system are to be cost neutral to the employer, and that is Baltimore County. So basically, this bill changes, again, as Ms. Young stated, the eligibility for 911 operators down to a closer to other public safety personnel, especially more closely mirroring, but not exactly, our folks in our corrections area. But the bill also does other things. It allows our emergency communications managers and the chief and the assistant chief to use unused sick leave in accordance with the formula of 16 days of unused sick time that equals 1 month of service, similar to their counterparts on Schedule 1E. Again, on a separate issue, part of what the FOP4 is negotiated is beginning on July 1st of this year, the spouse of an active drop eligible police officer on pay Schedule 4 would be eligible to elect the drop if that police officer dies prior to retirement. And in order to make this benefit cost neutral, these members rate will increase 0.05% effective this July 1. And then finally, beginning this July 1st, the bill proposes that earnings cap is eliminated for disabled police officers who are on pay Schedule 4. Currently disabled retirees who have other earnings get a $2 reduction for every $5 that their other income exceeds. And again, to make this cost neutral, actuaries recommended that the increase be 0.02 effective July 1 and moving forward. So again, as we move towards really the focus on is the change in status for retirement and change in status of the 911 personnel as being recognized as public safety moving forward. And that's kind of the meat of this bill with these other changes that were born out of labor negotiations. And I think Ms. Young and I are happy to take any questions.
Mr. Chair, I was going to go.
Councilman Jones, sorry.
Councilman Jones has his hand raised.
Yes, thank you very much, Director Reed and Ms. Young. I certainly wholeheartedly support this bill. Our 911 operators, without a doubt, is the first line of contact when people have an emergency, and they are reaching out to our brave men and women of the police and the fire department. The first person they get is someone at the 911 center. I can tell you, having been in charge and running a 911 center in my past occupation in the fire department, I know how stressful the job can be. And I also know that by moving this or reducing their retirement, it is a recognition of the mental health issues that affect our first responders. Clearly, they may not necessarily be subjected to some of the physical harms that can affect our police officers and firefighters or corrections officers, but at the same time, mentally, they endure just as much. So I certainly support the bill, and I want to also congratulate Director Reed and others for recognizing that although we want to be extremely generous to our employees, the financial health of the entire system must be maintained. So maintaining a neutral impact is very important. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Any other questions from the members on?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Councilman Crandall.
Sure. Councilman Jones, thank you for your comments, and Ms. Young, Director Reed, thank you very much for bringing this before us. I believe the resolution that Ms. Young referenced was the one that we passed unanimously in support of federal legislation to reclassify 911 workers as first responders and not clerical workers, which if you know anything about their jobs, as Councilman Jones certainly does, they are not simply call takers. So this bill, it's very refreshing to me that the sentiment that the council had expressed during that time when we were discussing that resolution, that we're in essence putting our money where our mouths are and reclassifying them internally, these workers internally in Baltimore County as it's been described in a cost neutral way. So I want to applaud the work that's gone into this, both the negotiations, the labor negotiations, and the administration's willingness to approach this issue in this way. I would be honored to add myself as a co-sponsor of the bill, Mr. Secretary.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Crandall.
Well, I, Mr. Secretary.
And
Yes.
Councilman Jones and Crandall. Okay, great. Any other questions, comments? None? Okay, all right. Thank you, Deputy Director Young. We're gonna move on to Bill 3425. This is a fire department bill, and I think Chief Dixon is presenting. Chief Dixon here? Unless we had him last work session.
No, this is first consideration, Mr. Chair.
There he is. There he is.
be
I see
unmuted.
his profile picture.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead,
I'm
Chief
sorry.
Dixon, whenever you're ready. Sorry.
Okay, there it is. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of council, and others. This is, of course, a bill that was introduced for a $5 million supplemental to assist Baltimore County Fire Department. Basically, our overtime budget, we were budgeted $6.6 million for FY25, and this supplemental will bring it up to 11.6. And certainly moving into 2026, it will be the budget will be at $10.6 million. The cost associated with additional overtime expenses necessary to maintain minimum staffing levels, mostly in accordance with MOU agreement, and as a result of higher than anticipated separations. We experienced nearly 60 where it was anticipated, or I believe presented last year, that it would be more in the 40 range. So we are looking forward to moving to a position where we're funded to meet the need, what we've demonstrated, and I'm encouraged that we'll do better in future years.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief? And this is for FY25, so it's.
Yes.
Doesn't look like we have any questions. All right, Chief.
Mr. Chair, in keeping with what the council is trying to do, does the council wish to have the chief for the next work session for this item on May the 27th, I think?
I think unless, we'll let you know, but otherwise, no. Director Irwin or Auditor Irwin, did you have any questions for the chief about this or the administration?
This is the issue of the question of the spending affordability guideline. With this appropriation, it will bring the FY25 budget up over that guideline, and the council, and so we can talk about what the council would want to do to provide an analysis explaining the rationale for doing so.
Okay. Director Reed, did you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, I can, Mr. Chair. We always try to, adhere to the spending affordability guideline when budgets are submitted. It doesn't mean that necessarily there's some times that happen on the back end that changes budgets throughout the year from an operational standpoint. And, we've been working with the fire department, and the fire department has decreased their callback and overtime over years. I think as noted in the analysis, that there's a substantial increase for FY26. So we're hoping to really, if this is an ongoing cost, shore that up moving forward. There has been times in the past, looking back over a decade, where there has been times where supplemental appropriations have exceeded the initial guideline going forward. But I think, as the auditor's note recognizes, that we ended up FY25 in a really stronger place from a revenue standpoint, and that we will ultimately end up with our expenditures under our adopted budget. And the easiest mechanism really is to pull this amount from our unreserved, undesignated fund balance, with also the note that before you will also be a budget appropriation transfer for storm emergencies that Ms. Buckler just talked about, almost about equal the same amount. That is really truly a one-time cost. So it's negotiable if this would even be really putting the limit over on the initial back end. So I think that's our response to that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the members? All right, Chief. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here. Have a great day. Next up, we have Bill 3525. This is from the state's attorney's office, Scott Schellenberger. It's Victim Witness Unit Services.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you so much for having me and getting this call. I really very much enjoyed your conversation at the beginning about the old TV shows. I was so happy when that TV was invented and I got to actually see it. I got tired of listening to the radio. So anyhow, so this is Bill 3525, Victim Witness Services. We have for many, many years received what's called a VOCA grant. That's the Victims of Crime Act grant, in which that grant funds one of the positions in our victim witness unit who has a lot of contact with the victims and witnesses to crime. But it also funds a counselor, Ellen Patterson, who has been counseling victims and witnesses of crimes for many, many years. I know that sounds crazy, but we have to have this bill because the current appropriation that we have in our budget of $107,538, the grant actually gave us more money. And so we were given $115,416, and therefore our request today is to pass a bill allowing us to accept an additional $7,878, and that money will be devoted towards the counselor Ellen Patterson. So the original grant will continue to pay for our victim witness person in our office, plus the money that we typically pay to Ellen Patterson. The additional money will go so we can send even more victims and witnesses of crime to counseling sessions with Ellen Patterson.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions from the members on this? All right. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you all so much.
And Mr. Boswick, this is another
Yes, sir.
one. Would this be another one where it would be technically heard twice?
Yes, it would. This is in for first consideration at the moment, and
Right.
The next technical work session for this would be May 27th, unless the council, does not deem it necessary to bring Mr. Schellenberger back.
Yeah, and Mr. Schellenberger, I would assume unless we have some earth-shattering questions for you, we'll let you know, but otherwise, you don't have to be at that next work session on this.
I appreciate it. It's on my schedule if necessary. And thank you all so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, and then next up, it looks like we have a few different bills from the Department of Housing and Community Development. Director Hickey's here to present these. There's Bill 3625, the Mainstream Program, Bill 3725, Veterans Administrative Supportive Housing Program, and Bill 3825, Housing Choice Voucher Program. Director Hickey, are you?
I am.
Oh, there you are.
Here I am.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. We're going to give you a 3-for-1. These are all 3 related bills. I'll give you some common background and go through each one of them. But I'll start by saying good afternoon, Chairman Ertel, members of the council. I'm here today on behalf of the administration and the Department of Housing and Community Development to request approval of 3 separate but related supplemental appropriations of federal funds that total $13 million. Now, they're broken into 3 separate bills by program. This is how they show up in the county budget. We have 3625, which, as you noted, is Mainstream. That's the program that serves non-elderly disabled individuals, where we are requesting a supplemental appropriation approval totaling $600,000. Similarly, Bill 3725 is our Veterans Administration Supportive Housing Program. That, of course, also known as VASH, that serves low-income veterans, where we are requesting approval of a supplemental appropriation totaling $400,000. And finally, Bill 3825, which is Housing Choice, where we're requesting supplemental appropriation totaling $12 million. And those all 3 total 13. Just by way of background, to spell this out a little bit. So DHCD is requesting approval of these supplemental appropriations to ensure that our actual expenditures for all 3 programs align with budgeted appropriations for FY25. for these are 100% federally funded programs. As the council's probably aware, DHCD receives funding from HUD directly on a monthly basis to administer 3 primary housing subsidy programs. During preparations for the FY25 budget, our team at the Office of Housing used prior year forecasts to project its total appropriation amount for the budget. Keeping in mind too that the county and the federal budget years are offset, so we're about a year and a half projecting ahead of time. Due predominantly to the rapid rise of housing costs. In fact, we looked back and over the last 2 years, the costs of leases and rents have risen costs over 23%. Due predominantly to those increased costs, these 3 programs will exceed our FY25 projections by that 13. So effectively, we projected a certain amount for the county budget. Our actual costs for administering the program rose rapidly. HUD has an offset in all of their awards to local housing authorities to accommodate rising housing costs. So our monthly payments from HUD increased to meet actual costs. So this is all funded by HUD. However, we still need to go through this process because our actual expenses are going to eclipse our supplement amount in last year's budget. And just to give you a quick breakdown, in the FY25 budget, we projected 1.2 million for mainstream. That's going to come out closer to 1.8. We projected 3 million for our veterans program. Actual costs are going to be closer to 3.4. And we projected 84 million on housing choice. Actual costs are going to be closer to 96. So this doesn't represent an increase in the scope of the voucher program. We're still limited to our authorized scope and scale, but HUD does cover the increased costs. And we're going to address this next year by being a little more intentional about our projections, which we have in the existing budget. So that's why we're before you today. We're asking the council to approve 3 supplemental so that we can align with our actual budget amounts. And with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Any questions for Director Hickey on these? Director Hickey, I don't see any questions from others yet. On the Main Street program, what was that for again?
Mainstream.
Mainstream, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. They're
not street.
They're pretty close. Mainstream is a subset of housing choice voucher program that are specifically for non-elderly applicants with a qualified disability.
Okay. And you said that our numbers have increased, and does HUD give us that money to begin with? Are you saying we need to ask for more money? How does that?
That's a great question. Even though we talk about funding for the housing office like a grant from HUD, think of it more as a parent company releasing funds on a monthly basis to meet expenses to a subsidiary. There's public housing authorities all across the country. HUD assigns every PHA an authorized number of actual vouchers, a budget amount, and then an offset amount. It's essentially a rainy day fund, if you will, to accommodate for rapidly rising unprojected expenses. So when HUD sees our projections rising, their monthly payments accommodate those rises so that we don't miss rent payments. And then those just added up over time. So we didn't ask for more, but the actual cost of those approved vouchers were higher. HUD acknowledged that, and HUD made the appropriate rise in our monthly payments.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments from the members? Okay, Director Hickey. And Tom, same thing. This is
Yes, sir. This is
first consideration. So unless we need you, we'll let you know at the next. But otherwise, this is the time to present this. So we don't need you to sit here again for the next work session unless some correct questions come up.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, next up, we have Resolution 2625. This is from Council Members Koch and Patoka, establishing the Baltimore County Equine Legacy Area. Councilman Ketch, did you want to speak to this at all?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great, thank you. 2 years ago, a study of Baltimore County's equine businesses was conducted, and the report was issued sometime in 2023. The equine industry in Baltimore County is worth about $3 billion to Baltimore County and is responsible for over 28,000 jobs and $1.77 billion in added value to the state's economy. So our equine industry is very important. And with this resolution comes the map that details exactly where this legacy area is located. And I know growing up, I grew up in Baltimore City, and my parents would take us to northern Baltimore County to see the horse farms, etc. And of course, it goes way back. And if anyone wants to know of any of the farms that can be visited to see the horses, etc., please contact me. But you hear things about the Long Green Valley and Green Spring Valley, etc. They are all areas in this equine legacy area. So I think this is important to the county, and if we expect to advance our tourism, having this official map available, will help us, because there are a lot of people interested in the equine industry. All you have to do is, I know that Kentucky is known for the horse industry, and people will go there to see it in horse country. So hopefully we'll be the same. And I want to thank Councilman Patoka for co-sponsoring this resolution. I understand that his family, that he personally was there in the 18th century when this industry started in northern Baltimore County. So he's very aware of this industry, and I appreciate his co-sponsorship.
Thank you, Councilman Ketch. Councilman Patoka.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Councilman Ketch's comment. Really pleased to co-sponsor this with Councilman Ketch. And, I think one of the things that should be noted about the Baltimore County Council is that we can work on bipartisan initiatives where Councilman and Ketch and myself, we share the value of having the diversity of Baltimore County, where we have an urbanized, suburban, and more rural area, and all of which could be tourist attractions. And now we're working on the equine industry as an economy. I want to also thank the stakeholders that worked really hard to get this to this point. And so glad to see this moving forward. And again, thank you, Councilman Ketch, and look forward to hearing testimony on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Councilman Marks.
Yes. Can Mr. Bostwick add my name as a co-sponsor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? I think we have some speakers on this resolution as well. Ms. Belcastro, do we have
Yes.
speakers?
Yes, we have some speakers. Our first registered speaker is Fran Burns.
Okay,
You're,
Ms. Bur-
Mhm.
Good afternoon, Ms. Burns.
Good afternoon. My name is Fran Burns. I am the head tour guide for Preakness Sunrise Tours at Pimlico. Excuse my voice, I have been touring all morning. We have free tours that we offer down at Pimlico that started today and run from Friday through Friday from 6 until 9. We teach guests about the importance of agriculture, horses, and Maryland racing. I own a small licensed boarding barn in Moncton with mostly retired racehorses. I am passionate about aftercare and new careers for racehorses when they finish racing. Often you will find me volunteering for Maryland's Mid-Atlantic Horse Rescue, a thoroughbred rescue and aftercare nonprofit organization. You may also know me because of my relationship to the Maryland State Fair. I come from a long line of farmers. My great-grandfather was a dairy farmer and owned Essex Farm in Lutherville, which is now today the Valley Country Club or the Mansion. They sold milk, butter, and ice cream. His dairy barns were located where 695 now exits to 83. He was also the president of the Maryland State Fair. Currently, I am the president of the Maryland State Fair and Agricultural Society, Inc., which, by the way, is a 501c3 nonprofit. The Maryland State Fair's mission is agricultural education. I would like to tell you about the significance of land preservation in Baltimore County. Did you know that according to the latest horse census, Baltimore County has the largest number of horses? We compete with larger counties and our numbers are higher, whether it be the new agritourism farms like the Farmyard in Parkton, who invite the public in to pet the animals, to the boarding farms that teach people to ride like Tranquility Manor Farm in Moncton, to the farms that work with veterans and the rescues that provide resources like Mid-Atlantic does to repurpose racehorses. These equine farms provide a significant economic impact to the county and to the state. I buy my hay from a farmer. I pay a farmer to trim my horse's feet every 6 weeks. I pay a horse dentist twice a year and a vet to care for them. These occupations require a large horse base to make a living. The mushroom farm picks up my manure so it can be used to grow mushrooms. These are ancillary businesses that would no longer be around without our horses. Maryland is known to be a leader in agriculture. Without open spaces to allow for horses, where would we be? No crops, no food, no horses, and no agricultural economic generators for the county. Preservation of land provides for farmers of all kinds to keep these significant swaths of land protected from development. They provide ecological balance as well. The pressures of development are squeezing our open spaces out. Baltimore County is supporting this. I will close with this, an important story about my former family farm on West Padonia Road. I grew up there. We were told no development on the west side of 83. Mr. Keelty tried everything he could to get a development on Padonia Road. He failed until he walked in one day and told the planning council about something called a PUD. It was approved. The bulldozers were already on site that morning during the meeting. I'll never forget that. That is today, Mays Chapel. Please don't let that happen to all of the county. We must protect open spaces and preserve the land. For the sake of Baltimore County's equine farms, I ask that you support the Equine Legacy Area Resolution. I thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. Any questions for Ms. Burns?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Ketch.
Yeah, Fran, thank you very much for your testimony and for all that you do for agriculture in northern Baltimore County. Thank you.
Thanks, Wade.
Fran, did you say your father grew up on Essex Farm or was that your grandfather?
That was my great-grandfather, John M. Dennis, who also
Okay.
was the treasurer of the state of Maryland for 2 non-consecutive terms and president of Union Trust Bank.
Lived right up there. We were members of Valley Country Club, so I know it well.
Yep.
Or what was that?
The main house is
the
still
remnants of it?
The main house is still there. Sadly, I do have pictures of the barns. They were quite something to see.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them. They had those neat steeples on top, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Ms. Belcastro, next speaker.
Our next speaker is Claire Agre.
Good afternoon,
Ms. Agre,
everybody. Hi, good
how are you?
afternoon, members of the council. I'm fine, thank you. I grew up in Towson, and this is my first time, however, testifying for council, so it's a privilege to be here.
Oh, great. Well, welcome.
Thank you. I am here to speak in support of the ELA, or the Equine Legacy Area, as we will all be soon knowing it. As way of introduction, I am a landscape architect and the founding partner of Unknown Studio, Landscape Architecture and Urban Design. We are an expert, nationally award-winning design and planning firm with expertise in regional and resiliency planning, conservation, greenways, park networks, waterfronts, and cultural sites, and we are based right here in Baltimore, Maryland. I want to begin just by highlighting the importance of this region in planning history. Across the country, Ian McHarg's 1964 Plan for the Valleys is always known as a vanguard piece of ecological thinking and planning, taught in every design and planning school to this day, including during my educational years. His work is still considered to be the gold standard for modern ecological planning. And to be working within the framework that he created is truly a professional honor, and I take it very seriously. I want to start by speaking to why does this landscape matter, this acreage that we're going to speak to today. You'll hear about how as horse country, this area is renowned across the globe by equestrians. Like the Kentucky bluegrass region outside of Lexington, it provides significant tourism benefits and also an economic cluster, as Fran just spoke to. However, unlike Kentucky, Baltimore County's horse country provides an astonishingly diverse and accessible array of activities, including steeplechase breeding, racing, pleasure riding, and myriad opportunities for local youth and community riding within the Eastern Seaboard. We are in proximity to 50 million people here. Beyond those who ride or work in the equine disciplines, the proposed ELA provides enormous environmental benefits to this region. And I really want to underline that and speak to that. This cultural landscape offers enormous ecological and climate change mitigating benefits to the globe and to us locally. Biodiversity thrives with large contiguous open spaces and a complexity of ecotones, that is, different kinds of ecosystems in proximity to one another. Climate change mitigation also hinges on sequestering carbon, something that these areas' soils, grasslands, and forested corridors are already doing. Unlike conventional agriculture, horses are actually excellent land managers. Their pastures are generally no-till, they do not destroy soils, and they seldom contribute to chemical loads downstream. In other words, these horse farms are doing a tremendous amount of ecological work, providing protection to water resources, carbon sequestration, and ecosystem services. In this time of biodiversity collapse, preserving this large contiguous habitat is a very critical task. Economists and ecologists consider the calculation of ecosystem services to be a very difficult exercise. But in our estimation, even at the kind of lowest estimation, we see this acreage contributing to the local economy in the order of $150 million per year. Lastly, I just want to speak to my role in the process. My firm was hired by the Valleys Planning Council in 2021 to oversee this study. In order to define and quantify the equine legacy area, we dedicated a team of 6, reviewing data, conducting interviews with active leaders in the region, assembling natural resources data, and producing new crowdsourced equine data such as private land, events, and assets. We were able to identify nearly 1,500 additional equine farms, which were previously unmapped. Altogether, that allowed us to really establish a 220 square mile region across the county that is an assemblage of centuries of community building, land stewardship, resource conservation, and care that can continue to be a place of welcome and wellness for generations to come. I believe this region deserves recognition, and as a cultural landscape, it is one that is doing great good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Agre. Any questions? All right, thank you. Ms. Belcastro, I think we have more speakers, correct?
Correct. Our next speaker is Kathleen Pontone.
Okay, Ms. Pontone.
Yes, can you hear me? It
We
looks
can
like
hear
we've
you.
got a
Good afternoon.
echo. Hmm?
You
I've
were
just
on
been
twice, Ms.
removed
Pontone.
from the
I
meeting.
expelled one
That's
of
no good.
your log
Why
on,
was
so
I
you should be good now.
removed? I was just removed from the meeting.
Not just removed from one aspect. You're still on.
could I be removed from the meeting?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Good. Ms. Pontone?
Did I go join meeting? Then it wants me to.
Tom, we can hear you and you're good. You were connected twice. Now you're not.
I think I have to go through the whole thing again. Let's see if
Ms.
on this one.
Pontone?
No, I'm out. Yeah.
Ms.
Okay, you can
Pontone?
hear me?
Yes,
We can hear you.
I can't hear
were
you.
in the meeting twice. We had to expel you because you were in twice. That's why you could hear
Okay.
that. But you're good.
Thank you so much. I apologize for the technical glitch. My name is Kathy Pontone. I am the Vice President of the Valley's Planning Council, live at 2522 Caves Road. Thank you, Mr. Chair and honorable members of the council. I personally grew up in Monmouth County, New Jersey, on a horse farm. They had a thriving horse industry in Monmouth County, New Jersey. It is gone. I could be the ghost of Christmas future coming to you with a tale of doom. However, due to the foresight of the county councils before you, Baltimore County has not suffered that fate. Our horse country, with a history going back a century or two, continues to thrive due to private and public conservation efforts that support this legacy. But as you know, it is constantly threatened. For once, and sort of apropos of the other requests at this meeting, we aren't coming to you asking for money. We know the county's very stressed and its planning department has a lot of things to do. What we wanted was recognition, and we realized that in order to do that, we needed to do a comprehensive study and that there was no money for that. So realizing that, we commissioned Unknown Studio, Claire Augrey, who you've just met, and she's too modest to really toot her own horn, so I want to do that. We found her because she was doing work for they did a master plan for the Rockefeller family near Acadia National Park in Maine. They have been retained also to do a master plan for the Brandywine County and Brandywine District in Pennsylvania. They have members of their team have worked in Lexington, Kentucky, which, as we all know, has done an amazing job in promoting its equine industry. And to go local, they've also been doing the landscape planning for David Bramble on the new Inner Harbor project. Unknown Studios surprised even VPC with the work it did over a year, beginning in 2021, to survey especially the number of disciplines. And Ms. Byrne did a great job of talking about the number of different kinds of things. It's not just horse racing. It's not just steeplechasing. It's not just pleasure riding. It's therapeutic riding. It's kids polo. It's multiple schools that have riding programs where the students are nationally recognized. We've been recognized for the Polo Player of the Year, National Polo Player of the Year in Baltimore County. We have amazing resources here. But all of these disciplines had in the past been operating in silos, and they were all very welcoming to Unknown Studio in giving their expertise, including the Maryland Horse Breeders Association, the Maryland Horse Industry Board, the various schools, the 4-H clubs, all of whom wanted to participate in this and seek recognition of how special our equine area is. We want to also stress, in addition to the ecological and economic benefits, which are undeniable, also the cultural benefits, and that it brings people together, brings people out to the country. Most of the equine industry is open to the public. People can go to the steeplechase races for $25 a car. People can go to 4-H horse shows, can participate either as riders or as well just viewers. Why do we need recognition? I'm sure it's a question that some of you may be asking. Why do we need this bill? Because we need the citizens and our government to understand how important this area is to the success of Baltimore County moving forward. We need people to learn how important a large contiguous area is to support all the various businesses. And the study also goes through the 50 businesses that support the horses in Baltimore County, how it supports the economic growth, including Pimlico, and our young people. and an enormous workforce, many of whom are housed right on the farms where they work. So we think we have an existing unique resource, but we do need you to recognize it by passing this resolution. And we thank our sponsors and all of you for considering this important resolution. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Pontone. Councilman Patoka had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I just wanted to thank Kathy for bringing this resolution to the forefront. You've been a real champion for this, Kathy, and your advocacy doesn't go unnoticed. And just wanted to thank you publicly for in this area. Thank you, Kathy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilman Patoka and Kathy. Ms. Belcastro, I think we have more speakers.
We have one more speaker for this item. I will say that it's Rachel Blakey, and she is on twice. So if there is an echo, I'm going to have to expel one of her log-ons.
Turned one off already.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. I have an echo, but as long as you don't, that's fine. Well, good afternoon. Oh, okay. No, you can still hear me, correct?
We can.
Okay, good. You did take me off. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I am Dr. Rachel Blakey, and I'm here to support the resolution 2625 and the establishment of the equine legacy area. I'm an equine only farm veterinarian, which means I go from farm to farm. But I have a master's in public health. I'm a diplomat of the American College of Veterinary Preventive Medicine, and I practiced in Baltimore County for 37 years. So I've had a front row seat observing the equine industry and its changes. While it's true the thoroughbred breeding industry has contracted over time, it is also true horse sport industry has grown as a whole. COVID brought us a boom to many boarding, lesson, and sales barns, and these new people and new participants have stayed in the game. People love horse sports, and horses connect people to the outdoor life with its pastures, streams, meadows, and wildlife as much as a connection to the horse itself. The outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man, said Winston Churchill, and he was right. The economic impact of the horse industry has been beautifully documented by Valley Planning Council, so I won't reiterate the impressive number of industries that benefit from our horse industry, but I will point out the multiplier effect that expands this impact even further. For farriers to shoe horses, horseshoes need to be made. For hay and straw to be harvested, tractors need to be made, so on and so on. The horse industry is labor heavy and automation light. It is a people industry. The open space needed for horse operations seems too obvious to mention. Horse operations from steeplechase training, fox hunting, breeding, show, event, therapy, all of these barns are on private property. Many years ago, 60 plus years ago, horse people lived, worked, rode, and trained on their own farms or that of their neighbors. This is no longer true. Today, many, even most participants drive to a clustered area of remaining legacy horse properties to lessen, trail ride, and compete. I've been watching this shift, and I tell you, our open spaces are at risk. They need both support and protection. In my experience, when a barn closes or shifts away from the horse industry, it does not reopen. Baltimore County has many shuttered or depopulated horse farms. The aging farm owners are looking at other revenue streams, including development, solar farms, and crops instead of horse sports. Our equine legacy needs to be recognized, the farms protected, and the industry supported. Horse sports truly are an intersection of the enrichment, economics, and ecological health. So please support the resolution 2625. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Blakely. Any questions for Dr. Blakely? All right, Ms. Belcastro, any other speakers on resolution 2625?
Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, so unless there's anything else on the resolution, we'll move on. Next up is from the police department, from Major Wydick. It's an amendment to a contract, Watkins Security Agency, Prisoner Transportation Services. Major Wydick, are you with us today?
Give me one moment, Mr. Chair. I'm putting him on.
Okay.
Just lost him.
We can move him to the back where he usually is.
Hold on.
I missed Mr. Richardson, so I'll get him after. If we get Wydick on, we'll go right to Mr. Richardson thereafter.
You threw me off when you called him for, I was.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. He's
I
on.
missed my numbers.
That's okay. The major's on.
Okay.
Yes, sir. and I
Major
was very
Wydick,
direct
how
on
are
your
you?
comments. I'm fine, sir. Thank you for not having me last.
I was going to ask if you could delay this, Mr. Chair.
Council Chair, council members, the police department is requesting approval of an amendment to a contract with Watson Security Agency to continue to provide prisoner transportation services for the police department and the Department of Corrections. Contract extension is necessary to avoid an interruption in services as the county requires additional time to resolicit the services and enter into a new term agreement. The proposed amendment, which commences upon council approval, extends the agreement approximately 6 months through the earlier of December 31st, 2025, or a date upon which a new agreement has been executed. And since the beginning of 2025, we've been spending about $25,000 per month on this contract. What this service does is it uses security guards to transport the prisoners from jail and from some of the police stations to the commissioner's office, freeing up officers to do actual law enforcement duties.
Okay. Any questions for Major Wydick? Yeah, Major Wydick, is this, I think we've always had Watkins, or we've had them for a long time. Is that, they're picking up from the precincts and taking them to the detention center or court? Is that correct?
That's some of it, sir, but also when the people are writted out for court hearings from the detention center, they become the responsibility of the police department, not the detention center.
Okay.
So anytime somebody in the detention center would have court, we would have to send an officer to pick them up and take them to court. After court was over, they would go back for their sentence. So they do that, and they also pick up from the precincts. I know it is out for bid now, and the county's receiving bids. I don't believe a new company has been selected yet, or this contract has been extended officially. So this is just to keep us from having to do it in the meantime.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Okay, we appreciate you being here today. Next up, we have Deputy Director Lawrence Richardson from Department of Health and Human Services on a contract from the Associated Catholic Charities Recovery Support Services.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chairman Ortel, members of the council. The administration is seeking your approval for a contract with Associated Catholic Charities for our Adolescent Community Recovery Center. The initial term of the contract totals $139,973, and it has 4 one-year renewals. The Health Department Bureau of Behavioral Health is going to enter into a contract with Associated Catholic Charities to provide adolescent community recovery services for youth at risk of substance use, providing recovery services through Associated Catholic Charities. Services include, but are not limited to, peer mentoring, support groups, alcohol and drug-free recreational social opportunities, life skills training, and then ongoing family support and involvement and linkages to other community services. The Community Recovery Center is located in Dundalk, but it receives clients from all over the county, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the members? Okay, thank you, Mr. Richardson. I think we're good to go. Have you, Mr. Richardson, I have a quick question. I was in a conference in Miami. Have you heard of the ACEs test, adverse childhood?
Yes, adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was amazed. There was apparently, if you score a 4 or more on the test, we were told that you have 100% chance of developing a substance abuse problem or a substance use issue as an adult, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, those numbers are high. I'm not familiar with all the metrics, but these recovery support community centers are addressing youth between the ages of 12 and 17. And you also will see another contract come before you in a few weeks for our recovery housing, recovery community services for adults.
Do you know if you get an adolescent that's in that situation, do they do that test or that assessment?
I'm not sure exactly what all the systems are doing. I know this particular contract, these recovery support services are non-clinical in nature. So they're more about a combination of peer recovery support. So it's peer volunteers, so people with lived experience that are within close to the age group of the clientele. So this is more or less engaging the clients with non-substance use activities in order to keep them occupied and find other outlets.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
as a non-clinical basis.
Okay. Great. Good to know. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Chief of Property Management, Deb Schindel, on a couple different issues. Deb, do you want to take it away?
Good evening, Councilman Chair Ertel and members of the County Council. The administration is requesting the approval of a contract for MSP Superior Services, Inc. to provide high dusting and cleaning service to various locations throughout the county. The contractor shall provide all products in the workplace, equipment, and supplies needed to provide high dusting and cleaning. This agreement is a one-year contract with 4 one-year renewals. The estimated total compensation is $462,670.77. There is an MBE goal of 15%. This was competitively bid based on best value, best qualified, experience, and low bid. For those who do not know, this is a service that we use in Storyville, in the 2 libraries, and also in locations like large gymnasiums like rec and parks and aging, where you can't reach and it's very high ceilings, and we use this service. I can take any questions on this contract if you would like.
Any questions from the members? Okay. Next we have an on-call roofing service.
Yes, the administration is requesting approval of an amendment to the contracts with City Roof Corp, Dynamic General Contracting LLC, and Simpson Unlimited Inc., the contractor selected for the roofing service for on-call in various locations throughout Baltimore County. Currently, the SCON 100002253 with Simpson Unlimited Inc. and SCON 1001920 with Dynamic General Contracting, and SCON 100002252 with City Roof has a total not to exceed of $899,108.11 available left. This increase is needed because with the original compensation that was based on the previous usage, it is now insignificant. And the growth of the capital budget in FY26 with the building assessment projects, this increase will be needed. The new total estimated compensation would be $4,359,702.74. And we will be maintaining everything else in the contract with the MBE remaining at 23%. I can take any questions if needed on this one.
Any questions from the members? Okay. And then we have an on-call HVAC service.
The administration is requesting an approval of an amendment to the contracts with Denver Elec Inc. and Temp Air Company for furnishing, installing, and repairing an HVAC equipment. Out of the original total combined compensation of $15,351,308.80, there is only $764,618.46 remaining. The new estimated compensation total is $18,889,696.80. This will be used for emergency repairs and building assessment projects. This contract will expire early 26. So property management and the Office of Procurement are working on a new solicitation to go out to bid. I can take any questions on this if you'd like.
It doesn't look like we have any questions. And then we have an amendment to a contract for Lighting Maintenance, Inc.
Yes, sir.
for
Last
exterior
one.
lighting.
Last one from us. Thank you, sir. The administration is requesting approval of amendment to the contract for the Lighting Maintenance, Inc. to provide an on-call athletic field parking lot and exterior lighting maintenance and repairs throughout Baltimore County. Currently on SCON 100001652, there's $1,237,606.04 of the original 4.5 not to exceed. The new estimated total compensation is $10,173,728.63. This contract is used for both routine and emergency repairs on athletic fields and parking lots. This increase is required in order to provide the flexibility to addressing safety concerns as they arise and limit the downtime that impacts recreation and parks and the community when one of these incidents occurs and affects their lighting on their fields or in their parking lots. I'm happy to take any questions on this contract.
Okay. Any questions from the members? Doesn't look like there are. Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Schindel. We will move on. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Or evening. Next up, we have Director Bob Smith from Rec and Parks on two different contracts. One for bus transportation services, summer camps and field trips, and another for National Center of Safety Initiatives on criminal background check services for recreation program applicants. Director Smith.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, Chairman Ertel and members of the council. Administration of the department is requesting approval for two contracts for bus transportation services with Civils Transportation, Inc. and Woodlawn Motor Coach. The contracts will be used for travel to summer camps and field trip locations for participants of the department's summer youth and recreation programs. The department's recreation sites host an average of 40 participants daily, which exceeds the seating capacity of the county-owned vans assigned to recreation and parks. Without a larger means of transportation, in essence a bus, traveling outside of walking distance is limited and potentially hinders the intent of the department's summer program experience. Both contracts are being awarded as cooperative agreements from the existing competitively bid Baltimore County Public Schools solicitation. The contracts will become effective upon approval of the County Council and continue through June 30th, 2029. Funds will be encumbered by purchase order each fiscal year. In no event shall the total compensation paid to the contractors exceed the County Council approved appropriation to provide these services during the entire term. And the not to exceed is $180,000 for the 4-year term. So we are respectfully requesting approval of this contract.
Okay. Thank you, Director Smith. Any questions for Director Smith on that contract?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilman Crandall.
Thank you, sir. Director Smith, you may be interested to know that in the previous century, I was a counselor at the James Ransom Camp, which I'm sure you're well aware of. And I was also, I can't remember the program. I'm not even sure if it exists anymore, but we would we would pick up. I think they were middle school to young high school kids, pick them up, take them out to different places. Sometimes to do work. They would clean up parks and things like that. And I was actually one of the ones driving the van and supervising 8 or 10 kids at a time, which was a fun experience. But one of the challenges, of course, with both of those programs was actually getting the kids there. And then when you were fortunate to set up a field trip, well, how do you get 20 kids out of their, their not only their neighborhood, but out of where they would normally locate? How do you get them out of there and to the location where the field trip is, so they can have an opportunity? I remember one opportunity we had was to take the kids, and they got an inside tour of Camden Yards, which was really neat. And these were kids that normally would not ever, at that age anyway, have an opportunity to see the dugout and to see the inside of the stadium and stuff like that. So I just want to relate that because it hit me on a personal note. Just reminded me of my very distant past and how valuable these programs can be. But there are moving parts to them, and there are resources required to pull them off. So,
Yeah, yes, sir.
I relate
Absolutely.
that. Thank you, Director Smith.
All right, thank you, Councilman Crandall.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Director Smith?
Yes, sir. Additionally, the administration department are requesting approval of a contract with National Center for Safety Initiatives, or Sports Engine Inc. The contractor shall provide applicant background check investigation services on potential applicants for various recreation programs in compliance with current federal, state, and local law. This agreement is a cooperative purchase of an existing City of Lee's Summit, Missouri contract, which was competitively bid and awarded through a request for proposal. The county's agreement shall commence upon the approval of the county council, continue through January 30th, 2026, to coincide with the existing City of Lee Summit contract term. The county's agreement contains one-year renewal option, again to coincide with the expiration of the existing City of Lee Summit contract. Funds will be encumbered each fiscal year through the Department of Recreation Parks operating budget. In no event shall the total compensation paid to the contractor exceed the county council approved appropriation during the entire term of the agreement, including renewals. The county council previously approved a similar contract with the National Center for Safety Initiatives on May 3rd, 2021, which is in its final renewal option and set to expire May 31st, 2025. So we are requesting approval for this contract. And this serves the background checks in which Councilman Patoka speaks of when he registers to coach basketball.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Director Smith on these? I see Rosemary Marks has joined us. All right.
Sorry about that.
No
I
worries.
didn't expect to do that.
Good to have her in the meeting.
Look at that beautiful baby.
Just doing what millions of people do, multitask.
Yes, sir. Good work. All right. Thank you, Director Smith. I think we're good. Have a great evening, and
thank you all. You enjoy the evening as well.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next up is Mr. John Herbst, Chief of Real Estate Compliance, and he has 2 items for us.
Actually, Mr. Chair, it's Joseph Jackson today.
Oh, Joseph Jackson, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The administration is requesting approval of 2 contracts to acquire easements for the continuous improvement of the Gunpowder pumping station to the White Marsh pumping station, which is designed to improve the county's infrastructure for sewage and water drainage. The first contract is for a drainage and utility easement with a temporary construction area. The value is $14,590, with a total area being acquired of approximately 8,970 square feet. The second contract is also in support of that continued effort, which is to acquire a drainage and utility easement along the Cedarside Farm Homeowners Association on Bel Air Road. That value is $27,627, and that is acquiring approximately 4,1300 square feet. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions from the members?
Questions, but just thank you for your work on this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Marks. All right, Mr. Jackson, you have another item?
I actually would cover both, but
Oh, that covered both?
happy to go over them again if you like.
Okay. No, that's all. I thought the one was separate, but okay. We appreciate you being here, and we'll move on to the next item. So, next up, we have basic services maps with Lauren Buckler. And this is Bill 2425. Is Ms. Buckler with us?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Back before you with basic service maps. We bring these before you annually for the sewer system, water system, and transportation network in Baltimore County. The maps are the same as they were last year. There is no deficiencies in the water system. There is a deficiency in the sewer system in the Perry Hall area with the treatment plant that's over there that we are working to close and move into a pump station. We have an active project for that. And the same traffic sheds are failing as last year. I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Are there any questions for Ms. Buckler on the basic services maps? Ms. Buckler, I had a quick question. We were talking about Eastern Avenue up by Lynbrook, between Lynbrook and Carroll Island Road, the last meeting. And I'm not sure what the Carroll Island Road intersection is labeled, and then there's another intersection at where the Royal Farm Store is there. I can pull that up real quick, but if we were to downgrade those to let's say a C, does that do anything as far as attention that they might get from it? Because that's state highway on Eastern Avenue. Does that?
That's correct. So the basic service maps, the rating system for the traffic sheds, if it's an F, then there can't be development in that area until that F is improved. So the challenge with changing the rating, all of those intersections in that area are a B currently. Changing the rating to an F, we don't have a way to tell somebody how to improve it, which is what people had asked for in the other testimony. Because it's not an F by engineering calculation, it's a B. So changing it to a C, the developer would have to maintain the same level of service. So changing it to a C wouldn't change anything, especially since this is impacting a state road. So the state has already given their feedback on the traffic impact study on what needed to be done for that development, and that's to increase the left-hand turn lane I don't know, changing anything on the basic service maps wouldn't change the state's comments because the basic service maps are a county thing and this is a state road.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I just wanted to see what the,
Mr. Chairman, can I,
yeah, yes,
as a point
Councilman
of
Crandall.
clarification, what you were asking Director Buckler about wasn't Aviation Station and that area of Eastern Boulevard, but further into Chase, correct? Carroll Island Road near Benji's.
Yeah, it's the two.
Those intersections
Closer
down
to the
that
farm
way.
store.
I
Right.
I just didn't know if maybe Director Buckler didn't quite get your question and sort of conflated the two, because obviously the Aviation Station issue is a sort of hot button issue. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Chairman Attell was talking about other intersections in that corridor, not necessarily in the Aviation Station direct area, but down, you get my point, down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Benji's, it was Eastern Avenue and Benji's, and then Eastern Avenue and Carroll Island. Specifically, the Benji's Road intersection is, there's, between Benji's Road on Eastern Avenue and Lynbrook, or especially kind of in front of the farm store and down to the landing strip, we've had there's a lot of congestion and then a lot of accidents, and a lot of it's been precipitated by left turns where people are speeding in a lane and they hit a car that's making a left turn.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Crandall, and thank you, Councilman Attell, for that clarification. Yeah, I was conflating the different issues. But changing the other intersections, because it's spelled out in code how we do this engineering calculation, which, not to conflate more issues, but this was a bill that we had brought before you and we had to pull back. We were attempting to update. It's based on a 1965 methodology. We had to pull it back with opposition. Change is challenging and we need to work through some of those logistics before it comes back. But changing the rating from how we calculated it, the issue is going to be when a developer comes in then to try to show us what they're doing, it's not going to match any calculations, because our calculation is these intersections are a B based on the methodology from 1965 that's spelled out in county code. So if you change it to a C, I don't have a basis to calculate that. And then somebody brings something before us and I don't have any basis to marry them up to anything. I know SHA is doing work in that corridor. I'm not up to speed on everything that they're doing. I know that they came out there and did a community meeting recently to present information on that corridor. I can get more information on that and make sure I forward that on to everybody.
I can add some light here too. My understanding is Aviation Station would, as part of the requirement to build, they would affect about 2,000 feet of Eastern Avenue. I guess the question is when in the Consolidated Transportation Program the rest of the improvements are scheduled for that entire corridor. The Aviation Station part is 2,000 feet from what I understand.
Right. Okay. All right. Any other questions on basic services maps? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Buckler. We'll move on.
We have some speakers, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
we have speakers. Oh, good. Okay.
Yes. Our first registered speaker, it was Paul Treesh, but I have been unable to locate him on our attendee list, so I'm going to go to the next speaker, who is Wes Guckert.
Okay. Mr. Guckert. Good evening.
Good afternoon. I want to talk a few moments about York Road and Ridgely Road capacity and level of service. And over the last several years, both the Maryland Department of Transportation and the Baltimore County government have undertaken traffic studies at the intersection of York Road and Ridgely Road to examine traffic conditions and peak hour level of service conditions. Not once has the government found the intersection to be operating at a failing level of service. Each year that either the state or the county undertook a study and analysis, it was operating at level of service C, Charlie, or better. So it's not reasonable to automatically expect that the intersection is operating at failing level of service when it has been operating satisfactorily for at least the last 11 years. And picking up on Ms. Buckler's comment, if one were to go in to try to fix it, you're fixing something that's not broken. So you really don't need to make improvements because it, in reality, is not broken. And it creates a really conundrum for government and for any type of developer. So it's important to remember that when a project does move forward, that the developer will be required to undertake a very detailed traffic analysis that will be reviewed by both the county and the state. And any road improvements that may be discovered as part of that study will be the responsibility of the developer to have the improvements designed, built, and funded. So, as you just heard a few moments ago, Baltimore County Department of Public Works is responsible to determine the level of service at each signalized intersection. It is the county traffic engineering staff that makes the determination of the level of service. And they've determined, at least over the last 11 years, that this intersection is operating at a level of service C. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guckert. Any questions for Mr. Guckert from the members? Okay, Ms. Belcastro, next speaker.
Our next speaker is Beth Miller. Ms. Miller.
Ms. Miller.
Hello, I missed, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good
Okay,
evening.
I got cut off right, I think, as she was announcing my name, so I assumed it was me. I'm Beth Miller with the Greenhouse Alliance. Thank you for this opportunity to testify about the 2025 sewerage basic services maps. Since 2017, GTA has had serious concerns about the capacity of the Jones Falls sewerage system and its impact on water quality and public health in Baltimore County and beyond. We appreciate Councilmember Patoka's amendment to the 2025 basic services maps that creates an area of deficiency south of Joppa Road near Tally Ho Road, but more is needed. The Jones Falls sewer shed from above Lake Roland all the way to the city line should be indicated as deficient. Recent support for this position includes the June 2022 Ramble Data Evaluation Report and $10 million rehabilitation project, the May 2021 RJN Jones Falls Sewer Shed Repair, Replacement, and Rehabilitation Report, and the two developments that administrative law judges and appeals boards have disallowed due to lack of sewer capacity. We disagree with the answers councilpersons Patoka and Hertel received to tough questions at the April 29th, 2025 council work session. Director Buckler stated that a sewer deficient area only applies to treatment plant capacity and not the over 200 miles of sewer pipe infrastructure in the JFS. This is absurd. The term sewerage means the complete system that conveys and treats sewage. Per the code, these maps are intended to determine the capacity of the entire system to accommodate sewage loads for new development and redevelopment. Director Buckler repeated 2024 hearing statements that the $10 million Lake Roland sewer rehabilitation project is structural, not capacity related. The Ramble report states the primary focus of this project is to minimize the inflow and infiltration into interceptors to reduce the likelihood of sanitary sewer overflows. Infiltration and inflow and structural defects were found in over half the pipes, and all the manholes were found to need rehabilitation, with over half due to infiltration. As such, this is a rehabilitation project related to capacity, but DPWT has not updated the hydraulic model to show the project provides adequate capacity and eliminates model predicted SSOs. Additionally, the county's consultant called for a relief sewer at Lake Roland, not the lesser remediation of relining. How can this area not be considered deficient? Director Buckler also stated the purpose of the missing in action $2.3 million Hazen Jones Falls sewer shed comprehensive evaluation that was due to be completed by December 2022 is to evaluate the results of millions of dollars that have been spent in the Jones Falls sewer shed. In fact, the consent decree requires a performance assessment report that was conducted by RJN in May of 2021. This report shows worsening model predicted sanitary sewer overflows post-rehabilitation. In other words, millions spent with poor results. Please address the inconsistencies between these facts and what you are being told by DPWT. Amend the 2025 basic services maps to show a deficient area from above Lake Roland all the way to the city line. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Any questions from Ms. Miller? Okay, Ms. Belcastro, next speaker.
Our next speaker is Winnie Carpenter.
Okay, Ms. Carpenter, how are you today?
Yes, good early evening, council members. My name is Winnie Carpenter, and I live in Oella, Baltimore County, but I have an Ellicott City address. The postal carrier crosses the Patapsco River Bridge to deliver mail to our neighborhood from Howard County. We are also 21043. I have provided this testimony and that from 2 weeks ago concerning removing our 2 historic districts from the F-rated area for the basic services maps transportation in an email to you. I've also included photographs of traffic and parking along Frederick Road and your council bills that were passed in previous years to carve out our districts. In addition to failed intersections along Route 40, Rolling Road, and Frederick Road, any reasonable person can stand on the Patapsco River Bridge in Oella and see both Oella Avenue, Frederick Road, and Westchester Avenue, Frederick Road intersections where traffic stalls, and then just turn around and see the bottleneck up to the traffic signal at the B&O Museum in Howard County. Hundreds of local community members from all over our county and tourists, and even folks who grew up in the area and moved elsewhere, signed a petition asking that traffic and parking be considered before a development was approved in Oella. But now we understand through a PIA request that the initial carve-out was not for them, but was requested for the benefit of a developer. The developer's team communicated with then Councilman Quirk and even drafted the First Amendment map, which you passed, so the ALJ could not consider traffic or parking in his order. The last biannual meeting for the Greater Oella Community Association, or GOCA, was held last month. I attended as the zoning chair. 6 others attended, including Councilman Young. He did not mention the carve-out of our national historic districts from the basic services map, and no vote was taken. We ask that you respect the recommendation and vote by our Baltimore County Traffic Engineer and Planning Board and keep our failed traffic shed intact. We also invite you, all of you, and your families to visit our neighborhood. You can park in parking lot A on Oella Avenue, grab a meal at the trolley stop, and stroll across the Patapsco River Bridge into Old Ellicott City. Please pause on the bridge and watch the traffic for yourself before voting on the anticipated amendment to once again remove our district from the basic services map. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Carpenter. Any questions for Ms. Carpenter? Okay, do we have more speakers, Ms. Belcastro?
Ms. Carpenter was the last speaker. I did go back to see if I could find Mr. Treesh, but he is not on the meeting, so that concludes the speakers.
Okay, all right. Um, anything more for the good of the order on basic services maps before we move on? No? Okay, next up, we have, by the way, we have, there's Bill 2925, which is a fire department bill, and 3025, they were presented to us at the last work session because of um, the new rules or our modern rules, let's say, they get heard twice. We asked Assistant Chief Scott Ebert that he did not need to be here tonight for those bills. So they're on your list, but unless members have questions about them, we'll move on to Bill 3125, which is from Councilman Jones, one-time use plastic carryout bag reduction, environmental education and enhancement fund. Councilman Jones, did you want to talk about this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I know the hour is getting late, so I will certainly be brief. We had extensive discussion on this issue before, so I will be brief. Bottom line is we charge 5 cents for paper bags when people elect to have a paper bag. This bill will provide a split of that 5-cent fee, where the retailer will keep 60% or 3 cents, and the county will get 2 cents. And then the county would take that 2 cents and create an environmental fund where community associations, individuals, nonprofits alike will have a place where they can petition the county through a grant process that we will set up that will provide funds to help keep our environment clean. I think this is a reasonable approach in terms of giving individuals out there doing the job a little help. I was talking about a cleanup I had recently where it was basically on me to purchase the equipment to give to the individuals, safety vest, trash bag, and the picker up. So I use the term that, this will provide value to the citizens, give them something, because right now they're paying the fee for nothing. Someone came on and talked about some of the jurisdictions that were not collecting or not getting any of the monies, which is where we are today. So I'm just going to say, no pun intended, it is a mixed bag. Some people are not doing anything with the money. Others are. So I'm just going to go down the list of some of the ones that are. For example, Montgomery County, they charge 5 cents, and they use their funds for a water quality protection charge, and it allows that money to go there and offset what the taxpayers are paying to clean up various water ways in Montgomery County. Howard County, of course, a similar situation where they use the money, that their portion of the money, to go into a plastics reduction and environmental protection. And once again, they supply grants to support environmental education, litter reduction, and other initiatives aimed at improving water and environmental quality. Moving right along, Baltimore City, they take 1 cent of the 5 cents, and that money is used for the city to help reduce the waste reduction and sustainability. Moving right along, District of Columbia, 5 cents. They use the money to fund the Anacostia River Cleanup and Protection Fund. And we can go on and on and on. Like I said, it's a mixed bag. We can go to other places like Fairfax County. They use it for an environmental cleanup and pollution mitigation and education fund. We can go to DC. We talked about that. Prince George's, Washington, Colorado, Philadelphia. We can go on and on. The point is, it is a mixed bag, and I think this will give the citizens an opportunity to reach out and have some of that money. It would help Baltimore County keep our communities clean, and it will provide assistance to individuals and people keeping waterways clean and the like, a place where they can go and request funding. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Jones. Any questions for Councilman Jones on Bill 3125? Councilman Patoka.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilman Jones, did you get a chance to take a look at the analysis that the administration submitted over on the cost of, if this bill were implemented, the cost of it and the revenues that were anticipated?
Yes, I did.
And that analysis, what I read from that analysis is it showed that the cost would almost equal the revenues that are brought in. And the one thing that it didn't account for is that if shoppers continue to bring their own bag, and that as they have been, and it's continually increasing, that in fact the revenues that we would be generated for you from your proposal would actually decrease. And I don't know if the staff cost associated with that would decrease. So I'd be interested in getting your thoughts on that.
Well, I remember looking at a number of close to $300,000. And yes, there's going to be some cost to set up the program. Although I'm not 100% sold on some of the costs that it would be, but at the end of the day, it could possibly result in as much as 300,000. We don't know exactly what it would be, because as you said, some people will continue to bring their own bag, and we encourage them to do so. But for those that do not, it would be a mechanism for the citizens to be able to get some funding. And maybe it's, it was changed from year to year, but I remember seeing numbers as high as possibly $300,000.
But if in fact people continue to bring their own bags, the revenues would decline over a period of time. It wouldn't stay at 300.
That's a possibility, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a good possibility, because the more and more I go to the market, the more and more I see people that have already changed behavior and are changing and will change their behavior into the future by bringing their own bags. And in fact, so much so that everywhere you go at any kind of event, the giveaway, the tchotchke giveaway nowadays is a bag. And I enjoy getting those. I got one from the director of libraries today. So those are my thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Patoka and Jones. Councilman Crandall? I think you're muted.
I was. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to speak up at the risk of opening up this debate that we've already had regarding this whole program, and I really don't want us to bring. We debated the bill ad nauseum, and Councilman Jones, you and I were probably the most vocal opponents of the fee in the first place. And I understand what you're trying to do, because right now the recipient of the nickel is the retailer. So I thought about it along those lines, and I put some more thought into this, and then I thought about what Councilman Patoka was saying about changing consumer behavior. And regardless of my thoughts on the merits of the original bill and my opposition to it in terms of its implementation, I'm kind of reminded of a famous quote that there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. And I think that if the goal, I think there's two competing interests in the two sides of this issue. One is let's change consumer behavior and have everyone use their reusable tote bags. And then the other is, well, let's collect some money out of what we're charging because we want to charge people so they won't use their bag anymore. So I'm concerned about creating a fund that we somehow get used to in Baltimore County, whether it's $50,000 or $300,000, and we get used to using that fund for grants to groups that are already pretty well adept at either raising their own money or using already existing county grants in order to perform the cleanups and the environmental work that they do. And then consumer behavior changes to such a point that the revenue just completely outweighs the operating cost of managing such a fund, as Councilman Batoka said. And then we're stuck with the need without a way to pay for it. So now it becomes a budget item that needs to be considered on a yearly basis. So, I'm leaning against voting on this measure with you, Councilman Jones. I'm respect where you're coming from, but I think we're really close to, in this bill, we would be really close to basically implementing a new tax on the Baltimore County consumer. And I'm not saying that without a lot of consideration to the merits of what you're proposing, because I do believe it has merit. But I think the cons outweigh the pros, and the potential consequences outweigh the what could be immediate pros in terms of a little bit of money coming into county coffers to distribute to communities. So again, saying this in the hopes that we're not sparking another hour-long debate on the bill and how it was implemented in the first place, because that certainly wasn't my intention. I was just trying to address your basically amendment to that original bill. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Crandall.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yeah, Councilman Jones.
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Councilman Crandall. I appreciate your concerns, and I understand. The issue here is to say if the citizens have to pay something, I believe they should get something for it. And I think that there's enough revenue there. Like I said, the retailer would keep 60% or 3 cents, and the county would get 2 cents or 40%. And I just think the citizens, when they pay a fee, a tax, or whatever, they should get something for it. And I think this will go a long way in terms of providing additional funds so that we could do additional work to clean up Baltimore County.
Any other questions for Councilman Jones on Bill 29 or 3125? Sorry. Okay, Councilman Jones, you're up again. You have Bill 3225, large truck and commercial vehicle parking penalties.
Yes, and I'll be brief. It was probably, 8 or 9 years ago when we initially changed the parking fees for people driving tractor trailers, and we made some adjustments. We allowed other vehicles that at that time was considered commercial. We took them out and just focused on the tractor trailers in our community. And what this fee does is, at that time, we went from $40 to the current fee of $250 and $250, making $500. And over the years, we continue to see violators. So the idea here is to say the first 3 tickets that a person would receive within the calendar year would stay the same at the current fees. But then when they get to ticket number 4, it will go up. It'll be gradual. It'll go up another $250. If they get ticket number 5 and everyone after that, it goes up another $250. And then it's capped off at basically those 2 additional $250s or $500 more. That's where it's capped off. And that's it. All the other things about the bill in terms of illegal tractor trailer parking in communities is the same.
Councilman Patoka had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is also a problem in my district. So, Mr. Secretary, could you add me as a co-sponsor to this bill?
Certainly, Mr. Patoka.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Patoka. Councilman Marks.
Yeah, I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor, and I commend Councilman Jones for introducing the bill. Like speeding, this is a problem, I think, in every one of our constituencies. So thank you, Councilman Jones.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Will do.
Councilman Jones, I had a question, and I'm not sure, and maybe this is a question for the Secretary on the law itself. Currently, I believe the law is and again, it might be a different variation here, but if you have 3 parking tickets in Baltimore County and they're more than 30 days old, we tow.
It's not automatic, I don't believe, Mr.
Well, it's automatic if you're caught the 4th time.
They certainly have that option, yes, under 18.
All right. Well, does this actually make it more lax in the sense that this bill says that we're not towing till the 5th offense?
Mr. Jones, would you like me to discuss?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have been in contact with the Office of Government Affairs, Mr. Kroner, because frankly, after you and I spoke, Mr. Chairman, I reached out to the person in parking enforcement, and Mr. Kroner and the 3 of us spoke, and we figured out kind of where we were with that 3rd offense and 18-2-708 of the county code. And so we're working on an amendment to address Mr. Jones's bill with Mr. Jones's permission to make his bill consistent with that county code provision. So everything's on the same sheet of music.
And what would that mean? Does it get towed after the 3rd offense if they find it?
Yes. Towing would be on the table after the 3rd offense per Mr. Jones's bill, so it is consistent with current county code.
But then, Councilman Jones, let me ask you this: so the first 3 are $250 each, right? And then the 4th offense then goes to $500.
No, the first is separate. $250 for a tractor, $250 for a trailer.
Right.
So the first 3 would be consistent with what the law is now. When you get into a 4th violation within a calendar year, we will add $250 more to each one of those items.
Right.
And then that's the 4th. And then the 5th, we add another $250. And at that point, we're done in terms of escalating the fees. And my initial thought was that's when towing would be on the table. But I was reminded by the administration that they currently have the ability to do it today at maybe 3 times or after 3 times. So I'm not trying to reduce it. But, when I look at the number of tickets that are being given and some of the repeat offenders, it is clearly an issue where many will take the chance and just continue to do wrong and just go ahead and pay the fee or pay the fine. Right. Even though in some cases, I'm told some people, maybe without estate tags, don't pay anything.
And by the way, I wasn't suggesting that you were trying to lax the bill. I was just asking because I've been dealing with this with other parking issues, and after 3, theoretically we could tow. Was there any thought on why we were capping it at, if you're at 750, I guess, for the 5th?
$1,000 is
What happens if you get a 6th? Is it,
well,
is it just
$1,000
all
is the high-
subsequent?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Chairman, but $1,000 is the highest that the county can go on a fine.
Right, I understand, but the way the bill seems to be written at 5, what happens after 5? What if this person is just, every week is parking, and we've given it now, it's into the 5th or 6th ticket? What are they getting then? Is it gonna revert back to 250 per unit?
I believe the bill says a 5th or subsequent.
Oh, it says and subsequent. Okay.
Yes.
I
And
mean,
that was your intention, Councilman Jones, correct?
yes, I mean, the idea is to, listen, I'm very, sensitive to people who are, in business as truck drivers. And I'm not trying to put anyone out of this at all. That's why the bill would go along and we'll give you 3. But after the 3rd time, then we start ratcheting it up a little bit for the repeat offenders, so to speak. And then we cap it off at $1,000.
Okay, good. Any other questions on Bill? Where was 3225? Losing track. 3225. Okay. Any other items, Mr. Secretary?
We have one speaker for this
Oh,
item.
don't we have a speaker? Oh, good.
This registered speaker for this item is Gloria Kelly.
Okay, Miss Kelly, thank you for hanging there in with us.
Miss Kelly? Miss Kelly is on.
She may have given up on us.
She's unmuted. Miss Kelly, are you there? I'm not really sure. Ms. Kelly? I'm not sure, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I was just talking to her. So
I'm not sure, Mr. Chair.
okay.
Well, I guess if we can't find her, she could always email in or.
Would you like me to text her?
If you want to try to text her, Councilman Marks.
Give me a second.
She's been waiting so patiently, maybe she's.
Yeah,
I understand.
kind of what I thought too.
May have dozed off. It happened during council session.
If we only had the luxury to doze off, the optics wouldn't look that good for us.
She's not answering her phone either, so.
Well, hopefully she's okay. Maybe.
Well, we mind if I say something, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah,
Councilman Marks.
I've known Gloria Kelly for a long time, and she's very active in the kind of the South Perry Hall, Rossville community. And I think she was testifying in favor of this bill because I think she's been dealing with a lot of truck issues. I hope I'm not misrepresenting her.
No,
Ms.
you're not.
Buckhash, yeah,
You're not, Councilman.
yeah,
She,
yeah. So I think she would have talked about her experiences dealing with trucking. So.
And I also spoke to Ms. Kelly today on the phone, and I was assisting her in registering to speak. So I do know that she wanted to speak, but unfortunately we can't get her.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully she'll write in at least. Mr. Secretary, any other items for us?
I don't believe there are any further items on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, I will motion to adjourn, even though I know I don't have to do that, but we will see
you all later.
everybody next Monday.